It's Thursday, March 16th, 2017. I'm your host, Sarah Mantle. We have a great show in store for you today. First up, we're going to learn about the upcoming Heroes Breakfast with Red Cross Executive Director Hillary Green. We will also chat with State Representative Will Crocker today. He's going to tell us about budget talks on Beacon Hill. And we'll catch up with Town Councilor Jen Cullum. She's going to tell us more about her work on the Homelessness Committee. All of that on this episode of Barnstable Today. Now let's get a look at today's top headlines. The Water Supply Division will be making upgrades that will improve both water quality and fire flows for customers of the Hyannis water system. The project will clean and line about 4,000 feet of water main on West Main Street. Work will be done between the West End Rotary to La France Avenue. Most of that work will be done this spring, with final paving being completed in the fall. There may be brief periods of water service interruption in that area. Residents, though, will be notified before any service interruptions. The Barnstable Youth Commission will host its third annual Community Substance Abuse Prevention Forum tonight. This year's featured speaker is Chris Herron, a basketball legend from Fall River who lost his career with the Boston Celtics due to substance abuse. The Community Substance Abuse Prevention Forum will be held tonight, Thursday, March 16th at 5:30 p.m. at the Cape Cod Community College in the Tilden Arts Center. That event is free and open to the public. All are welcome to attend. Well, it's time to register your little ones for kindergarten. Barnstable Public Schools is hosting a Kickoff to Kindergarten event. The kickoff event will include fun and engaging activities for children and information for parents or guardians regarding the online kindergarten registration process. A representative from transportation will also be available to answer any questions. Students registering must be 5 years of age on or before September 1st. The kickoff to kindergarten will be held at Hyannis West Elementary School Saturday, March 18th from 10 a.m. to noon. Prince Cove Marina is getting an upgrade. Work will begin on the reconstruction of the Prince Cove Marina bulkhead this month. The area will be closed from March 13th until about May 1st. The bulkhead will be reconstructed with sheet pilings, concrete, and other facilities. No access to the bulkhead will be available during construction. The boat ramp and associated parking will remain open during construction. Residents should avoid the bulkhead area. Questions regarding marine activities in the area should be directed to the Marine and Environmental Affairs Division. Well, up next, we're going to learn more about the upcoming Red Cross Heroes Breakfast with Executive Director Hillary Green. Thank you so much for joining me today, Hillary. We have such a great event to chat about. This is one of my favorite events every year, and it's really because this is an event that honors so many heroes in our community. Tell me a little bit about the categories of the heroes that you will be recognizing this year.
Well, this is our 15th annual one, so I know what you mean. Everybody I talk to says, "Oh, it's my favorite event," and why it's a favorite is because we honor life-saving heroes. It might be a neighbor of yours who helped save somebody who collapsed at a party or at a restaurant. It also has professional heroes, though. So professional heroes like firefighters and police, I mean, they're heroes every day. But when they go above and beyond the call of duty, we recognize them too. We have armed forces heroes, same thing. They do their duty every day, but sometimes they just do an amazing thing. We have a youth hero. There's so many different kinds, and we don't pick them. They are nominated by the community. So all over our Southeast Mass, Cape and Islands area, nominations come in.
So heartwarming to see the stories of so many community members. And too, I think volunteers are honored for donating their time to certain causes.
Right.
And it's really a heartwarming event to see these people being recognized for giving back to their community.
You're right. And the community service ones, we honor people who've served our community in an extraordinary way. So I think it's lovely if somebody helped an organization for the past 30 years, that's wonderful, but somebody who impacts the entire community or over many different organizations, and the stories are just great, and we like to focus on that, and it's a feel-good event in the middle of always, maybe some bad news, but we always highlight the positive.
Yeah, you are not kidding about the fact that it is a feel-good event. And you know, you have a great production there. So you have videos telling us about these heroes, and it really does take you inside and gives you a look at what work is being done. Tell me a little bit about your MC for the year and maybe your honorary chair.
Sure, yeah. So our MC this year is Colonel Virginia Doonan, Ginger Doonan, who is the commander of the 102nd Intelligence Wing at Otis Air Force Base. She's been a board member of ours for 3 or 4 years, and she's the first female commander. And she hates for me to say that because she's like, that's not why she's there or whatever, but it's true. She's an extraordinary speaker and a great leader, so she'll be there. And our honorary chair this year represents, has been nominated several times as a hero because of the work he's done in battling the opiate addiction crisis. Sheriff James Cummings from Barnstable County has worked with the inmates to, if somebody gets convicted of a crime and is in there and has a substance abuse addiction problem, then he has a program that's been recognized nationally to help people recover, and then when they are done with their jail term, that then they're ready to face the world.
I think that would be so important too, because when we're looking at recidivism rates of people returning to prison or recommitting a crime, it would seem to me that drug addiction would be something you'd really have to break and really have to work on to really decrease those incidents of them returning to a life of crime. So, and we know so many times the drug addiction really can take over, and that's sometimes the reason they're committing the crime.
Of course, and this opiate addiction crisis has hit every part of all of our communities. And so we have 4 other heroes that we're celebrating their good works in a terrible thing. It's not a depressing, these are great inspiring stories of mostly women who either this addiction crisis has affected their own family and they started support groups and leadership and ways to connect families to get them through such a terrible time. And then we also are honoring the Cape Cod Hospital Maternity and Pediatrics Department because they started a program for babies who are born addicted. And they've been recognized nationally also because they need to be treated a certain way. And this crisis affects all different levels of our society. And again, we're turning these into good stories. So you'll come and you'll hear a lot about these heroes who are battling something that is affecting us.
And you really do, when you come away from the Red Cross Heroes Breakfast, you have, it inspires you to really get going and maybe contribute yourself. Maybe you take a look and say, what can I do to help out? So very important breakfast. I also love that the breakfast is so early in the morning. It starts at 7, and that's to get everyone before they go to work. Feed them breakfast. They get a great breakfast. They get a wonderful, inspiring show to start the day. So this really is a great event.
Yeah, I did want to mention, because you mentioned about our volunteers, this is not a Red Cross Heroes Breakfast in the way that we honor just our volunteers. In fact, we very rarely honor volunteers, but this year I decided, because there were so many national crises that our volunteers locally were deployed to, that I'm honoring our Red Cross volunteers who were deployed to Texas and Louisiana, and kind of educating the community about what they do. These people leave their homes and go somewhere for 2 weeks, stay in a staff shelter or help people who've been flooded out or storms or tornadoes, whatever, and that's what they do. And they don't get paid for it.
And we hear so often people who experience crises like that, how important and how wonderful it was to have Red Cross there for them to lift them up in a time of need.
Right, it's sometimes just care and comfort. Sometimes we're handing them a mop and a broom to help them clean up afterwards, but a lot of it is just the care and comfort of our amazing volunteers. So we are telling that story this year, which we don't always do. It happens every year, but I wanted to highlight it this year.
Now also, all of the funds raised by ticket sales to this event, anything donated during the event, all of that really goes to help the Cape and Islands Red Cross, I'm sorry, and I should say Cape and Islands and Southeast Mass Red Cross. It helps fund you guys. This is your main fundraiser for the year. So on top of it being a really inspirational breakfast and something that's wonderful for the community, it also really helps fund your organization.
It does. We don't do a lot of fundraisers. We're not hitting up people all the time, but we are funded by businesses and foundations and individuals who donate to our Red Cross.
Yeah, it's not publicly funded. Everyone should know that.
Right. Everybody thinks the American Red Cross, Congress, we are mandated by Congress to serve the community in times of disaster, but we get no funding. So, but what I love is that then it's the individuals, it's our community supporting our community. And it goes, and this is our biggest fundraiser. We hope to raise a lot of money this year by telling our story, but also giving you some really good stories to walk away with, and hopefully entice you to take a class, donate blood, donate money, become a volunteer. But you know, I love this event. You know, events are a lot of work, and right now all the details are making my head swim, but this is my favorite day of the year.
It's wonderful, and we should say too, I love the poster for this year.
Yeah.
We have a very special artist who has donated this. Tell me a little bit about this poster.
Well, Elizabeth Mumford has done this. This is her 4th year in a row, and she's a friend of the Red Cross, and she creates these watercolors, and usually she just does the life-saving heroes. She kind of tries to tell their story in a little drawing. This year she was able to create it and touch each of our 21 heroes, plus our guest speaker. And it's fascinating. She donates it. We do sell the prints at the event, and she will be there to sign them. But we know each hero is going to love seeing them portrayed by our local celebrity artist, Elizabeth Mumford.
So awesome. And then before I let you go, if someone's watching and they're saying, I want to get tickets, can they still get tickets, and how would they go about that?
Right. Yes, you can. You can go to our website, which is redcross.org/Hyannis, and you'll see a piece about the Heroes Breakfast. Click on that, and you'll be able to buy tickets online or call our office. But it does usually sell out. We've got a lot of corporate sponsors and tables filling up, but you'll want to be there. And
so get those tickets fast. It
definitely
is such a great event, an event not to be missed. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And
Thank you,
good luck, and hope everything goes off smoothly for you.
I'm sure it will, but thanks for having us out here.
Thanks so much. My guest today, Hillary Green. She is the Executive Director of the Cape Islands and Southeast Mass chapter of the American Red Cross. Now we're going to get an update from State Representative Will Crocker on the budget process. Joining me now over the phone, State Representative Will Crocker. Will, thank you so much for joining us today. We have a lot to talk about today. It is budget season. That's going to be lots of busy hours for you on Beacon Hill. But before we talk about the budget in general, let's talk about the process that legislators go through. You guys actually have a chance to try and make some requests and get some money back to the district in the supplemental budget. What will you be pushing for in that supplemental budget this year?
Well, we'll be looking at, again, thank you very much for the opportunity, but we'll be looking to try and get back some of the money that was taken out of the 9C cuts, specifically areas of like homeless prevention and opiate addiction. Those are the things that I'll be asking for because we know that there are key issues here in the 2nd Barnstable District.
Wonderful. Any organizations that will be specifically named in those requests?
We're going to see if we can get some more money for Duffy, for sure. That's an organization that I'm very much, I like what they're doing. I like some of the progress they're doing. I was there when they opened up their teen program with medically assisted treatment, and I just think they're doing some great things up there, and I would like to see them. I will push for the money that they are asking for. And
of course, if our viewers weren't familiar with the medically assisted treatment program, we actually got to talk to them a little bit about it. Such an important program. They're actually treating now even teens for opiate addiction using medications. So really important program there, I think, especially with reaching out to a population of Cape Cod that hadn't been able to get services here for that. So very important program there.
Yeah, most definitely. I got to see when they opened up the program last year, and it's been a big success so far.
Wonderful. Great to hear that. Anyone else that you'll specifically request funds for here on the Cape community?
Well, I think the overall ask is more important than specific agencies. There are a number of agencies that are and organizations that are going to get to get the money that they need.
Yeah, so important, I think. And let's talk a little bit about the process, because you actually, part of the process is to have a meeting with the House, the chair of the House Ways and Means Committee. That's, of course, Brian Dempsey. Do you have a meeting scheduled with Mr. Dempsey in the near future?
Already had it, and we went in, and that's what we asked for specifically. We actually went in before we had our committee assignments. We were very early on in the process, and so we didn't have a real specific ask to go for yet. But what we did go in for was the things that I talked about there: opiate addiction treatment issues and homeless issues.
Yeah, such an important issue. So many important issues here on the Cape revolving those issues. What else is happening on Beacon Hill?
Well, again, we're going to be looking at the supplemental budget. We are beginning our committee. Hopefully soon we'll be beginning our committee work. I'm on the Tourism, Cultural Arts, and Cultural Development Committee, as well as the Mental Health, Substance Abuse, and Recovery Committee, and also the Children's, Families, and Persons with Disabilities Committees. And those are all joint committees. I was very lucky to be able to get on the joint committees, and I am the assistant ranking minority member of the Substance Abuse and Recovery Committee. Not exactly sure how much that means or how much juice there is in that, but I'm looking very forward to be working on that committee, because that obviously is a committee that's going to be dealing with the substance abuse issue. The children's, families, and persons with disabilities is where the bills on homelessness will go, and also obviously the Tourism and Cultural Development Committee is very important to the Cape, very important to the Second Barnstable District. We need to be able to get some of that money back to be able to market the Cape to areas off Cape and get people to come to the Cape, because we know that it's a very it's a key issue down here. It's a key industry down here, tourism, and if we can get some of that money restored through the supplemental budget, that'll be great. It may be a little bit late to do some marketing, but getting that money back is something that I want to push for. Yeah,
I know CEO of the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce, Wendy Northcross, has argued so many times that you get actually more back than you spend on advertising. So an important issue there. Before I let you go, Will, I know you have some office hours that you hold. When are your office hours, and where are those held?
My office hours are the first Friday of every month, so they've obviously happened for the month of March, but they are always the first Friday of every month. And I start out early in the day in Yarmouth, so from 9:30 to 11 on the first Friday of every month, I'll be at the Yarmouth Senior Center, and then from noon to 1:30, I'm up in the third floor office at Barnstable Town Hall.
Wonderful. Great to know you're there on a regular schedule. So if anyone has, any constituents have any issues or want to chat with you about something, you are available the first Friday of every month. Very important. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it, Will. And of course, look forward to chatting with you again in the near future.
Oh, thank you very much, Sarah. I appreciate it.
All right. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Our guest today, State Representative Will Crocker. Well, now we're going to talk with Town Councilor Jen Cullum. She's going to tell us about her work on the Homelessness Committee. So, Jen, you are the chair of the Homelessness Committee here in the town of Barnstable. What is the focus, really, for the committee?
So the committee started with the idea of getting people really out of the woods that were camping in neighborhoods back over here in my precinct especially, but also throughout town, over by Betty's Pond Road and in other areas. And in the first, I would say, 6 months of the committee forming, we really addressed that with the help of the BPD. And we made major strides there, but since we've been examining the problem in Hyannis, we've kind of expanded our scope a little bit to talk about really the cost of homelessness and near homelessness to the residents of Hyannis and really to our town. Since it's, Hyannis Main Street is where it all happens, it's important for us to really take a look at the cost to our village, not only in dollars and cents, but in concept. So that's kind of where we've been we've kind of morphed our scope a little bit, but I think we're still very much on topic.
A lot of things have really happened in the past year to really improve the situation on Main Street and in Hyannis, one of which is the community service officers that have been working in the summer. Those were found to be very successful, and of course they're bringing them back again this summer, so that's great news. Another thing that was a big switch recently was the Duffy shelter was taken over by Catholic Services. It's now St. Joseph's House. So there are some really big strides here in Hyannis. What other steps do you think need to be taken here in Hyannis to deal with the homeless situation?
So let me just compliment Chief McDonald on his resource officers. They've been an amazing resource to the community and to tourists, and I think they've made everyone feel a lot safer, especially when we look at footage of people shooting up the year prior on the town green. There was none of that last year. I think shop owners felt a lot better about things, and we're all very thankful for that. As far as Catholic Social Services is concerned, I think they're showing us that, you know, although the location of the shelter may not be ideal, that the shelter can be a good neighbor and can move people forward in a positive way with real results, as opposed to the prior administration over there that just did nothing to help the community, although they said they did. So now I think we're actually seeing real results, and they're willing to talk about it, and I know that the police and the business owners alike on Main Street are very thankful for everything Catholic Social Services has done, realizing that they are a cog in the wheel in our Main Street. Although I think we can say that that's not the best location for the shelter. Other things that can be done. So when I look at Hyannis and the problems associated with homelessness in Hyannis and the social services agencies, I wonder what our contribution is versus what it ought to be for the county of Barnstable. And so one of the things the committee is looking at now is ways to invite other communities in to help bear the burden of the problem. Now, no one's knocking at our door, I promise you that. But you know, there are things that we're examining that make Hyannis a very convenient default for these locations. One of them is the sewers. Sewers are really important because you can have high density housing then, right? Another one is transportation. Another one is medical care. These are the three biggest ones that we hear all the time. So, you know, in the committee, we've talked to the transportation. Tom here came in and talked to us about transportation, the DART service, what they can really provide. And we found in our last meeting that, in fact, there's a lot of transportation options available to people down Cape through the CRT. So is that right, CRT? Yes. So that is one myth kind of debunked, right? We know that there are sewer locations in Orleans and in Chatham that they could probably also do some of their share. But for Hyannis to bear the burden entirely in this problem, for those two reasons, it's not sustainable.
So do you think then that people from the Cape, not just Hyannis, so you think that many of the people taking advantage of services here aren't necessarily Barnstable residents?
I think that whether or not that's true, there could be subsidized housing throughout the Cape, which would alleviate the stress on the residents of Hyannis, is what I think, and alleviate the stress on our village and how successful we can be economically. So now, a few months ago, there was in the paper, and right now we're trying to get Terry Ahern from Cape Cod Healthcare to come in and speak to us at the meetings about Cape Cod Healthcare kind of reaching out to health centers, community health centers, to provide healthcare down there. So the third kind of piece of this whole thing is that, you know, they need services. So, well, what services are going to be provided by Cape Cod Healthcare in Wellfleet or in P-Town? Would that alleviate some of the stress on Hyannis? Because the one thing I do know is that the village of Hyannis should not be entirely responsible for the burden of the homelessness in Barnstable County. And over the past many, many years, it's been that way. So now we're at a point where we see we're at the tipping point really here in Hyannis, and a lot of residents, my constituents, are speaking up and asking for reasons why. So the committee of a homelessness committee that I chair, we're examining other possibilities. And hopefully we will get more communities on board with helping with this population that needs help. It's all of our burden. It's not just Hyannis's burden. That's the point.
Yeah, and you guys have invited a lot of local groups and service providers to come in and talk to you about what they do, and you know, how has feedback from interacting with those groups been for the committee?
The committee appreciates everyone that comes in and speaks to us. I think that one of the reasons I wanted to come speak to you today is that we're not targeting anyone specifically for running a shoddy service in Hyannis, or we're not targeting people for helping others in need. That's not what we're doing. We're examining why all these houses are in my precinct. Why is that? And we're looking for ways to share the burden townwide and countywide, because the result is neighborhoods are deteriorating because they don't have the working families anymore. Houses are not that they don't have them, but the prices are low enough on these houses in Hyannis where social services agencies can come in and change really the fabric of a neighborhood. And that's what's happening. All of the homeless, for instance, Homeless Not Hopeless. Who could ever argue with that mission? They take no federal money, no state money, all privately donated money. And they have great results. They came in and spoke to us, and the deacon told us that I think 60%, they have a 60% success rate. That's amazing for opioids and alcohol. And no one's disputing the efficacy or the intent of those programs. My question is, why are they all in Precinct 13? That's my question. And I think it's a good question, and I think that the constituents really deserve to know why. Why aren't there any in Yarmouth? Why aren't there any in Dennis? I mean, we don't have all the people with problems with drugs and alcohol here in Precinct 13. That's why.
Well, thank you for joining me today, telling me all about the work of the Homeless Committee. Of course, this is a discussion I think that could go on for a very long time, and we'd love to have you back to continue the conversation sooner than later.
Awesome.
Thanks so much,
Thank
Jen.
you.
Really appreciate it.
Cheers.
Our guest today, Jen Cullum, Town Councilor in Precinct 13. Now let's find out what's happening around town in today's community calendar. The Cotuit Library will continue its music appreciation series Saturday, March 25th. The informal performance is for community members by community members. All are welcome to listen or to participate. The concert begins at 2 Saturday, March 25th. The Barnstable High School Drama Club production of Into the Woods opens this week. The epic fairy tale is sure to be a crowd pleaser. You can catch the show March 17th, 18th, 24th, and 25th at 7 p.m. and March 19th and 25th at 2 in the Performing Arts Center. Tickets are $15 for adults and $10 for seniors, students, veterans, and active military. You can purchase tickets at the door or online by visiting bhsdc.brownpapertickets.com. Well, we do not have any board, committee, or commission meetings scheduled for today. Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to be back tomorrow with another great show for you. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mantle.